Hello and welcome. This is Untitled Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Now, the resurgence of rice pyramids after decades of disappearance from the nation's shores has continued to engage industry players on the future of the paradigm shift and the way to go in utilizing the rice value chain for domestic surplus and export possibilities. Now, with more than 1 million bags of paddy rice displayed in the FCT and several others recorded across agricultural nerve centers of the country, action is moving towards reviving the industry through projection of more than 1,000 rice mills to sustain the value of production. Tonight, on NTA Tuesday Live, key players will be dwelling on one of the many gains of economic diversification and a potent tool in wealth generation and reduction in unemployment. But before we go into our discussion tonight, let's get to see this report by Musa Baba Aliyu.
It was a journey that started 7 years ago with President Muhammadu Buhari sowing some grains in Kebbi State. Statistics provided by the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that as at December 2021, 4,400,000 farmers were financially supported. Integrated rice milling industries increased from functional 6 in 2015 to about 200 in 2021. This has reduced the importation of processed rice from other countries such as Thailand to nearly zero.
By 2016, rice imports from Thailand have fallen to just only 58,000 metric tons. As at the end of 2021, they only exported 2,160 metric tons of rice to Nigeria, thereby saving Nigeria foreign exchange and helping to preserve jobs for our people.
Our gathering here today is no doubt a testament to the fact that the Anchor Borrowers Program is working. Our country is making steady and assured progress towards self-sufficiency in food production. As a critical policy of the government, the Anchor Borrowers Program is expected to catalyze the agricultural productive base of the nation, which is a major part of our economic plan to uplift the economy, create jobs, and conserve foreign exchange.
Mr. President, there is no adjective that is strong enough to thank you for what you have done to this country. And Nigerians will continue to appreciate your presence as the president of this country to the end of time.
With Thailand recording zero importation of rice into Nigeria, the country has pledged to key into the Nigeria's Rice Revolution project. This, the representative said, will include the establishment of milling industries in the country.
Thailand is cooperating seriously with the Nigerian government and any other business stakeholder of agribusiness in Nigeria. So to give them the Thai technology, the know-how of rice production.
We've been having several meetings with the National President of Rice Farmer Association on the area of technology transfer from Thailand to see how we can bring improved seed that is not in the Thailand market.
The efforts of smallholder farmers, who are the major producers of food consumed in the country, were recognized by key players, including some state governors.
If you didn't do what you did, starting from 2015, it would have been a very difficult situation for our people because hunger breeds anger.
Feeding Africa and feeding Nigeria is a key to success. Banning importation of food, we as lawmakers, we are ready to support any small farmers holders.
As the 2022 dry season commences, the Central Bank and Farmers Association agreed to scale up production as directed by the President. Musa Aliyu.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's start off by introducing our guests. We'd like to welcome to this program the Governor of Jigawa State and Chairman Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, Muhammad Badru Abubakar. Thanks for being here, Mr. Governor.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're also joined tonight by Dr. Musa Olashupo. He is Head Recovery and Support Services Division and also Rice Champion Development Finance Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Dr. Olashupo, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We're also joined tonight by Muhammad Ali Baba, SA to the President of Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, RIFAN. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Good evening, sir.
Well, just to say that along the way, we expect to have the Rice Processors Association of Nigeria to join us as well. And so as soon as we get through to the Rice Processors Association, we'll let you know, and they'll be part of this discussion. But first, let me acquaint you with the process of this discussion. We always do every Tuesday. At some point in time during the program, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio, and we'll update you on what you should do at that time. But let's just quickly say, when that time comes, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set so that we'll avoid the hurlback or the echo. When that time comes, we'll remind you of this. But once again, let me say welcome to this discussion. It's all about what has been termed the Rice Revolution, and that is where we start tonight's program from, and get a little background of this Rice Revolution. How did it start? And we turn to the Governor of Jigawa State, who we would ask to let us into how this revolution started.
Well, thank you very much, viewers. Good evening. It started well. President visited Kebbi and launched the Anchor Borough program. And we all know that President Muhammad Buhari engages us to engage in farming so that we grow what we eat and eat what we grow. And that is a slogan that is within depth in this government. So with the Anchor Borough program, farmers are aggregated into clusters. They are supported with quality seed, quality inputs, as loan, money for land preparation, insecticides, herbicides, all the inputs that they need so that they grow rice, and they are anchored with off-takers, the rice millers that will take. So once you are given the capital to farm, you are linked with an off-taker. And that was the beginning. So there is guaranteed market and guaranteed price. So that was the beginning. A lot of farmers starting from Kebbi State engage in this rice farming, and in fact many other different crops. It's not only rice, but we are discussing rice today. That was the beginning, and a lot of state key in to this production, a lot of farmers key in, and particularly the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria also key into this program and mobilize a lot of rice farmers back into land. And because of the support, the profitability of rice production increased because one, they get quality seed, quality fertilizers, all the inputs that they need, and they have the technical service, the extension service to them, and that help in their productivity and enhance their profitability. And that was the beginning, and that is how it continued to multiply and multiply over time.
All right. Let's turn to the central bank now. The Anchor Borrowers program is what you hear talked about all the time. And so, Dr. Olashupo, let's get an insight into this Anchor Borrowers program, because it features prominently, especially in what we're discussing tonight, rice.
Thank you, Cyril. Good evening, Nigerians. The Anchor Borrowers program was an innovative financing option that was designed for smallholder farmers to provide an ecosystem that will link all nodes of the value chain. So unlike other conventional options, financing options, the Anchor Borrowers program is a value chain approach that links production from the part of input supplies to the primary production itself. And like H.E. said, we also guarantee a market. Linking all the nodes is to ensure that there is no distortion in the value chain, and also it facilitates seamless flow of finance from input supply to the guaranteed market. And that's why you're seeing with the rice example, it's been a success story that started in 2015 when we first flagged up in Kebbi. We've had our learning experiences. We're bringing innovations. We're also having a lot of stakeholders engagement to ensure that we're able to satisfy every node of the value chain and also ensure there's no distortion. So for us, in the past 6-7 years, the ABP has been a game changer for financing smallholder farmers. We have seen the trajectory, and we are very optimistic that if we're able to sustain this, then we will be able to ensure food security to Nigerians. Thank you.
All right, so this is where the rice farmers themselves come in, and let's go over to Mohammed Ali Baba. A lot has been said about the value chain. First, we'd like you to give us the status of the value chain right now. And one of the biggest questions that was asked when these rice bags were displayed in Abuja, and people said, pyramids. Why rice pyramids? Are these just for aesthetic value? What is it? Where is this going? What's going to happen to all that rice? So it's so many questions tonight for the farmers themselves. So let's start from the value chain.
Even those with Spartan understanding of agriculture knew that some of the most basic challenges of the average farmer are: 1, quality inputs; 2, finance; and 3, market. And just like Dr. Musa and H.E. have rightly explained, these have been frontally tackled, and that is the basis of the Anchor Brewer program. Now, before now, the average farmer, luckily, if he's lucky, maybe he has reared a few domestic animals, which he sells towards the farming season, and is able to afford perhaps a few, recycle his old seeds, a few modules of fertilizer, and then, of course, basically, back-breaking labor of, weeding, tending to the crop until it's, harvest time. All mostly through very hard back-breaking labor. And eventually, he harvests the little he could, because then, of course, the productivity was very low because the inputs were few and less qualitative. So, and then, boom, came the Anchor Brewer program in 2015. And the average farmer that couldn't even afford a bag of fertilizer, in the first place, he has access to quality hybrid seeds. Unlike in the past when he has to recycle a few of some reserve out of his harvest. And then, of course, he came to have access to around 6 bags of fertilizer. And then even pumping machine. In the immediate past, it was the ancient, watering system that he was used to. And then he has access. And then, in fact, at the beginning, he even has access to funds to fuel the pumping machine. So, by the end, and then another challenge he had then was the fact that even the few integrated mills that were mentioned were dependent upon imported brown rice, which they will clean and bag. Now he has an assured market because the CBN, as shortly before, complement to this program of Anchor Brewer program, had withdrawn access to Forex for importation of many items, and top on the list of that were food items. So the millers were compelled to look inwards, and then this farmer, who before now even had glut, because at the beginning that was the challenge when they were told, some of the farmers were told they will have access to funding and inputs. They said, why do we need that? Because what we have even produced was not being sold. Then at the beginning, I could recall vividly, the price of paddy bag was between 3,000 and 3,500, and they had glut. So even at the beginning, to prepare the ground, the CBN had to fund the mop-up of those, unsold paddy. So, and then by the end of that season, this same farmer that couldn't sell his paddy at 3.5 had the value multiplied by 3 to 4, because before the end of that season, he was selling between 9 and 12,000. And then, of course, with the inputs he has gotten, quality inputs, and then additional support, even his productivity had multiplied by about 3 or more times. So this farmer started smiling to the bank, and then wealth started permeating the grassroots. And that, like I said, the rest, I mean, we're seeing the effects now with these displays.
That brings in the fundamental question, if I might just stay with you a little longer. Those rice bags we saw on display, the pyramids we saw, the question many Nigerians have asked is, where is that rice going to? What is that rice? What impact can that make to rice production and consumption in this country?
Rice paddy are headed for the mills. They were already having, a long queue of millers knocking at our doors to offtake those paddy. Principally, it was meant to, apart from the fact that, it was a novelty that pyramids are returning to the landscape of this country, was the fact that we need to make a statement that this is a successful program. So ultimately, they will end up in the mills, and then, of course, into the market, and then to the tables of the average Nigerian. And then the impact is the fact that with that display of paddy, because there are some that are engaged in hoarding. We learned feelers from the millers and the market is that display has forced, a lot of people, the price down already. One of the millers actually we spoke with said the price has suddenly gone down from around 18 to between 14, 15 and 16,000 per bag of paddy. So that is the immediate impact, and we expect that by the time this gets to the millers, that trickle-down effect will impact the price of the processed rice. So,
and Governor, this is where we come in here and say rice. That rice will go to the millers. The immediate benefits would bring down the cost of paddy, but we're looking at the long-term benefits because the cost of rice, which is a staple in this country, is still relatively high.
Well, I think what we have seen there is just a little fraction of what has been produced in the country. I know 5 or 10 millers that within this season have bought up to, even more than 1 million bags that are there. That's approximately 75,000 metric tons. We know many rice millers that have that stock already and milling. And on the price, I'm sure gradually the price will come down. If you are following, the price of rice has been stable for the last 1 year. I know December 2020, it was selling X mills at 25. I don't know how much they sell at retail. But you see, we have so many rice mills in my state. But I know what they are selling in the mill is 23. And December 2021 was also selling at 23,000 per bag. So per 50 kilo bag. So for the 1 year straight, the price has been stable. And I'm sure the price will continue to go down, because this is an issue of demand and supply. As production increases, prices will go down. As we improve in our productivity, price will go down. As we improve in our technology, price will go down. Let me give you an instance. Before, land preparation is done manually, but today we have a lot of tractor hiring units that will do it a lot cheaper than the manual work. The planting the same, the harvesting the same, the spray of insecticide the same. There are service providers that do them with machines and a lot cheaper. So Cost of production is coming down. The same thing with threshing, the same thing with harvesting. And milling is becoming bigger and more competitive and cheaper also. So gradually, as we approach the economic of scale, we will see prices coming down. Gradually, as we introduce technology in production of rice, we see prices coming down. And also with the seed. Like you have said, productivity per hectare used to be around 2 tons per hectare in Jigawa State. Today we are seeing an average of 5 and 6. And that is the same land, almost the same input, except probably for the increase in fertilizers. But you get 3 times the output, which makes profitability more. And as we produce more, I'm sure prices will come low. And today there is a lot of competition going on among the states on agriculture. Every state is gearing up, supporting its own farmers to produce more and more in agriculture. Not only rice, but as we are discussing rice today, I can tell you, when we came in 2015, total rice production, wet and dry season, was about 92,000 metric tons. Today, I got the statistics of 2020-2021 harvest, both dry season and wet season farming for 2020-2021 season. Jigawa produced 1,014,000 tons of rice. And this is the same with almost all the states. So as we produce more, and as the more you do more, the more new technology comes in, the more you have economic of scale, the more you are competitive, and the more prices will come down. So I expect in the next 1 year we'll see prices sliding as we are producing more and we are engaging more technology into the production.
Well, just quickly on the side of that, you're chairman of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, and inputs are said to be key to increase production. What is access like today to inputs?
Well, in the case of fertilizer, as you are all aware, and it is testimony, it was even a campaign issue for us during 2019 campaign. Fertilizer were sold at between 5,000 to 5,500 up till 2020. And that was a very good initiative because we had fantastic deal on the inputs, and you have seen availability of fertilizer everywhere at that time. There is no year that we do not carry stock. 2021, increase in dollar prices, a little bit change on our agreement with the suppliers because we had agreement for 3-4 years, and that lapses. That we have seen the movement of fertilizer from the 5,500 that we sell to 8,000 as of that time, and it was available the whole year round. And whereas we will soon start the 2022 program, and we will look at the whole parameters and set out price. But we are sure, we will be sure fertilizer will be available and the right quality too.
All right, Dr. Olashipo, this is one of the things that people would like to find out about. The economy, challenges to the economy, no doubt, would have also affected the ability of farmers and to access certain inputs and conditions that they require to produce more. For instance, all intervention programs might also be impacted by a slowing economy, not the least also impacted by COVID-19. Now, how can this be sustained?
There's no funding opportunity that is perfectly elastic. There's a threshold that we'll be able to come to at the point and we'll say, yes, we've been able to gauge the situation and this is the level of intervention we've been able to bring to fore. However, from the CBN perspective, the bank has frontally using its development financing opportunities to support the economy, especially with the advent of COVID. One of the key conditions was the bank's reduction in the interest rates for all interventions from the 9% that it was pre-COVID to 5%. That also allowed the banks to support the CBN's efforts by also looking into their books to create funding opportunities for the average Nigerians, especially the SMEs, the farmers, and also manufacturing. For inputs, what we do is, with our stakeholders' engagement, we proactively lock in prices for the season. So what we do is we engage the associations to identify the critical inputs they will require for production. We also leverage on the network of the associations to get their suppliers, and what we call a town hall meeting, which is a public engagement of the association, their farmers, and the input suppliers. They agree on a prevailing price. With that price, we lock it so that we'll be able to guarantee input supplies for that season. And that has actually worked for us. Considering this last wet season, we were able to lock in fertilizer, for example, urea at about 7,500, even when the market price moved northwards to as high as 12,000, 14,000. So for us, it's more of stakeholders' engagement. The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative has also been a key partner in this. We'll continue to deepen the engagement. Also, we're doing a lot of collaboration with the seed suppliers. For this season, we're also exploring opportunities of getting more hybrid seeds certified. The logic around this is to increase productivity per hectare. It's not in every season that we can outwardly increase the total number of land under cultivation. However, we can carefully, and using the right science, agronomic practices, and inputs, we can increase productivity per hectare, which gives us a lot of leverage. The whole idea is to see that, yes, we encourage more people into farming. However, we also make the economics realistic for people coming into agriculture, so that you can plan, you can do your cash flow, and you can see there is actually a clear market for what you are producing. So for us, it's an ongoing engagement. We are not there yet. There's still no silver lining. It's going to be years of continuous efforts, and that's why we are actually advocating for sustainability and also collaboration with all stakeholders. This has worked.
Right, okay. Well, we'll explore that further, but we have a couple of reports that will be part of this program tonight, and let's take the very first one. This one is from Kebbi.
The commitment by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration to invest more in agriculture to encourage farming activities with the aim of ensuring national food security and self-sufficiency has been fruitful over the years. The agricultural revolution policy was deliberately designed to ensure provision of required legislative, agricultural framework and institutional mechanism to allow farmers access finances and other essential agricultural inputs and services, as well as markets for their products. The rice revolution through the famous Uncle Borrowers program has changed the old narrative of rice production in Kebbi State, as presently over 150,000 farmers were incorporated in massive rice production, with an annual yield increase of over 4 million metric tons of paddy rice. Also, with an investment of about 200 billion naira in the crop value chain. The continuing emergence of numerous small, medium and large-scale rice mills all over the state is a clear testimony of how the rice revolution has changed the old narrative of over-dependency on foreign rice in this part of the country. Paddy rice local marketers across the state and the producers have continued doubling capacity to meet with the demands.
If you double your capacity, you are going to more or less double the level of labor input required to drive the factory. So definitely we will expect to recruit more people from the area.
Doubling capacity is about confidence in the Nigerian economy. It's about confidence that President Muhammadu Buhari's reform and policy is working. and we thank them. And it's about confidence in Kebbi State as well. They here in Birnin Kebbi, Labana is doubling capacity. Alhaji Aliko Dangote is also finishing his own mill in Saminaka. Lolo rice mill is functional in Kamba. Many small-scale millers are coming on daily. Nigeria is a big market. Nigeria aims to take its place of pride in the world, and this is a promise of the future APC pray that we will begin to see.
Another testimony is the quality and quantity of rice produced by local millers on the display at the local markets. In spite of the quantity of rice produced, Kebbi State has an advantage to improve in the crop value chain because of the state potential to produce rice 3 times annually. The Kebbi State government, however, remains steadfast in supporting its agrarian communities as an effort to provide jobs opportunities, wealth creation, at the same time contribute to fully achieve "Eat What We Grow" slogan.
All right, from Kebbi we go over to Delta, and let's get to see this report from Delta State.
Federal government, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, banned the importation of 41 items into Nigeria, inclusive of rice. The local markets were filled with all kinds of foreign-bagged rice, leaving many citizens preferring a taste of this brand of rice to the locally produced counterparts. The local brands before 2015 were poorly produced and filled with stones, thereby discouraging consumers.
And nobody was looking at domestic rice. The reason being that even the few people that were cultivating rice, they were not having the right machines to process them. And so the rice were not having the color that was attractive to the people, and the rice were not properly processed, and so they were all full of stones and other impurities that were inside there. And there was a major challenge, and nobody was even ready to buy that, except those people that are poverty-stricken people.
Many people are running from Nigerian produced rice because of the stoning and chaff. But now we have a machine that can remove chaff, can clean the rice very neat, then process destone it, then polish it to meet that standard of foreign.
Federal government's policy has led to more attention and support being channeled to rice farmers, thereby leading to increased yield in improved local brands that has met the demands of consumers. Now, the Nigerian market is flourishing with many local brands. Notable is the whole grain rice or brown rice, specifically recommended for diabetic patients.
Every home now, we're eating Nigerian rice. Somebody called me that they want to learn how to produce rice. That will show that many people are interested in producing this rice.
It has led to job creation for as many as those who are involved in the rice value chain. For increased exportation, rice farmers say more needs to be done by federal government. With the provision of necessary incentives to rice farmers, Nigeria will be listed among best rice growers in Africa and the world.
The taste for rice is also in every part of this country, and so that's what we're going straight to ask Mohammed Ali Baba of RIFAN, the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. Yes, you're producing so much now, but there is still a high demand for rice, and the existing gap is much. The daily consumption is put at about 1.8 million metric tons, if I'm correct. But you do have the figures as rice farmers. Can we talk about that?
Demand creates supply naturally. That is the elementary law of economics. So as more and more rice is demanded, so more and more Nigerians will be attracted into it, because, I mean, wherever there's a market, there's money to be made. You know, increasingly now our young ones too are finding opportunity in this sector, because, I mean, the federal government has made agriculture the fulcrum of its economic diversification efforts, and because it's very elastic. You know, even in the presidential speech, we were told that very limited amount of the land, Nigerian cultivable land, is actually utilized. So there is so much opportunity. So as the demand increases, so also will people be attracted. And of course, as the HE has emphasized, increasingly, because of the viability of this rice farming in particular, improved technology is being introduced, and then of course even hybrid seeds, that are coming into it, in addition to the availability of inputs. So with increased productivity too, it's hoped that more and more Nigerians will be attracted at every part of the value chain, of course, including production, milling, marketing, and along with it, we expect that these demand gaps will be filled up quickly.
So for now, what would you say is the extent to which your production meets the demand?
No, well, with every passing year, like the productivity increases, more and more land is coming into production. And then, like I said, more and more Nigerians are attracted into it. So with every passing season, our productivity is increased. So the demand, of course, is being met. But the complaint has been that perhaps the prices. And that too, we have already, as explained by some of our co-discussants, will come with time. Because in the basic laws of economics, as more people are attracted because of the viability, the increased supplies will ultimately depress the prices. And along with it, because some of these increase in prices are transmitted because some of the inputs are imported. So, and then opportunities now arise for local, content and local sourcing of some of these inputs. So, as such opportunities increase and people take advantage of them, it's expected that the prices of even those inputs will come down. Interestingly, while I was waiting to come into the studio, I was elated to see one young man, a local person in Sokoto State, producing through, some, do we say, crooked technology. He was producing pumping machines. And that is one of the, costless part of the inputs, the economies of production, because it's virtually dependent on imported varieties. Now, if you have, an individual like that, we also have our research institutions. When they are properly supported, I think a lot of these inputs will be sourced locally. And as we do that, the cost of production will become lower. And with lower cost of production and increased productivity, of course, it will impact the prices in the end.
All right. Foreign inputs, a number of them are also responsible for shooting up the price. But there is another factor, Mr. Governor, and that the president himself spoke about that, the activities of middlemen who go out there and buy off these items and hoard them and wait for critical periods and then release them. Now, beyond policy, what can be done about eliminating this aspect of it?
To produce more and more and more. So when you have enough, let them continue to hoard, but then they will not sell. There are instances, if you ask those hoarders, sometimes they buy millet or maize, they hoard. After a year, they couldn't sell because there is more production that year, and they end up losing money, and they don't buy the next year. So the idea is to produce more and more, and also at good prices. Because, first of all, you cannot stop them from buying. Secondly, we don't have the mechanism to trace and stop hoarding. So the best is to produce more and more and more, and that will definitely stop them from hoarding. Last year, it happens, a lot of people bought paddy and hoard. And after some times when the production started coming big, they get panicked and prices started dropping. The same thing that one of the discussants said. After seeing this pyramid, the price of paddy has started going down already. Those hoarders are panicking because all these paddies will go back to the millers, and in the next 2-3 months, the dry season paddy will start coming up, and then the hoarding will stop. They won't find any reason to hoard anymore. So I think the best strategy is to produce and produce, and when you have enough in supply, hoarding will not work. But again, on pricing, we are introducing a lot of different technologies. Some states have even started developing seeds. Jigawa, we are working on 2 different varieties of seeds that we believe can do 8 to 9 tons per hectare, and it's on trial now. We just recently got a certification for a wheat variety that we developed in Jigawa, and that is doing fantastically well. So you see the zeal even among the state actors. And we see a lot of businessmen going back to farm. A lot of youth going back to farm. So actually there is money in there if it's done right. And as we increase our productivity, like I've said, our economic of scale will go up, and then demand of inputs will go up. The moment demands of input comes up, then it creates an opportunity for producers to produce in Nigeria. If we are selling 1 million, for instance, 1 million farms a year, and now the demand is 2-3 million, maybe that will create an opportunity for producers to produce palm, because now it makes sense and they can produce competitively. The same thing with insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, and others. So the more we grow, the more our competitiveness increase. For instance, now we have been trying over the last few months, years, solar water pump, similar to the 3-inch pump that we carry around. So that solar water pump will reduce cost of production per hectare by about 80, depending on the area, the state or the area, between, let's say, 75 to 100,000 per hectare, and that is massive reduction in cost. So we are looking at all options and to see how best we can reduce prices and how best we can produce more and more and more, so that the middlemen will now have no opportunity to hoard and create scarcity and sell higher.
All right. Dr. Olashupo, there's this bit about the role of the central bank, which I have to ask you to respond to. How does the central bank respond to suggestions that it is unduly going into agriculture and leaving aside the core mandate of running the economy? How does the CBN respond to that? That yes, there might be intervention by the central bank, but that from what has been seen of recent, it would seem as if the bank is going into agriculture fully, and in fact there's a suggestion that it's beginning to look like a central bank of agriculture. How do you respond to that?
Cyril, it's always an interesting discussion when we get drawn into such topics like this. And it's a simple response, really. The role of the bank is to actually create a working economy for all players in the sector. And prior to now, when we started this discussion, you also, mentioned the critical role food plays in ensuring security, keeping people on the farm, and those are the fundamentals that actually drive the economy. If there's restiveness, insecurity growing at alarming rates, there is job loss, we actually don't have an economy to govern. So, if looking at every node of the economy will bring succor, will bring comfort to Nigerians, I think it is something they should encourage the bank to do, and even do more. If you look at the act of the bank, doing developmental role like this is a core part of the CBN Act. And you could see everything we're doing are things that support the real sector of the economy. And these are actually a part of the economy that you can actually have some tangible gains that will help you sustain even the monetary aggregates. So it's a mix. of both developmental efforts and also the conventional role or traditional role of the central bank. And this is not just unique to Nigeria, it's what is being done by every central bank in a developing economy. If you look at the role of the central bank in Italy, when they started their development, you'll see how well they supported growth in almost every sector, including real estate. So what is happening is not unique to us, but it's actually an intervention, and that's why the bank insists that what we are doing is an intervention. There are actually plans that we believe should be done now to sustain the economy, and where we have the stability, we can move to other nodes or other core functions that will help us grow the economy further.
Hey, still on that subject, if I might just stay with you a little longer, the question of repayment of the loans. It's believed that up to 50% are yet to comply with that. What is the level of repayment, and what is the CBN saying in relation to these pyramids and repayment? Could you clarify that for us?
Thank you, Cyril. I mean, it's a question I picked when you first asked it, and let's just set it. Let's put the facts on the table. Starting from the words of the late Chinua Achebe, that until the lions get their own historian, the story of the hunting will always favor the hunter. I studied agriculture, and I grew up learning about the pyramids. I never saw any pyramids in my life until I became part of this team that brought back the grains pyramid. That is the story we also want generations yet unborn to come and meet. That at a time in Nigeria, we were able to dig down into the potentials of agricultural value chain, and we're able to resuscitate the pyramids. We've started with rice, maize is coming up, and you also see for other commodities coming up. Going back to the question on loan repayment, there are two nodes around repayment. There is the ability to pay, which is the economics. And there's also the willingness to pay, which is the behavioral science. The economics of production covers the farmer's ability to pay, which is the loan element, the farmer's output, the guaranteed market at a particular price that will also give the farmer some margin. However, there is also the behavioral part, which is more of an orientation. Everybody in Nigeria sees opportunities where none really exist, and some will tell you is a part of the national cake. And that was one of the things we changed around 2018 when we started the pyramids. Prior to then, emphasis was on cash repayment by farmers. You know how fungible cash is. Farmers sell. They have the influence of the middlemen that attract them with cash. They take the cash to their houses. Farmers don't need to leave their homes. They get cash, and they use that cash for other means. However, when we introduced produce for repayment, all the farmer needs to do is just to remit about 40% of his or her output as repayment for the loan. And that was why we started the pyramid, so that farmers can actually come out with their produce, put it as central aggregation points, and once a farmer brings it, another farmer gets encouraged to bring the output. And that has been the basis, and repayment has improved significantly. The other part of it is also the balance. By 2018, there was massive flooding that affected the farms. And what we did was to restructure those financing for the farmers to encourage them to go back into production. As they were coming out of that, COVID came in. And the bank again worked with the participating financial institutions, which are now the deposit money banks that on lends to the farmers, to say let's restructure, to give the farmers some level of comfort, let them come out of this crisis. And it is now that resuscitation that you have seen in the Abuja mega pyramid. More farmers are getting stable. They are submitting produce for the existing season and the previous seasons that they have missed. And we believe in the next 1 or 2 seasons, we'll be able to balance all this, bring in farmers that are committed to the program, and Nigerians can see the full results of what we have done in the past 6 to 7 years.
So for now, you would rate the repayment as at least impressive. All right. Just as soon as we can fix that little glitch. Now, if you can hear me, Dr. Olashupo, how would you rate the repayment now? Would you say it's impressive? Would you say at least encouraging, or a distance from what used to be in the past, where, as you yourself said, everyone would look at the loan, especially from the Apex Bank, as part of the national cake, which they think they're entitled to?
So, with the innovations we've brought in, with the trajectory we have seen in the past 3 years, we'll see recovery has been quite impressive, especially doing smallholder financing through an institution.
There are other issues we will save, we'll return to you, but I must raise this matter, and I would ask the rice farmers themselves to respond to such suggestions. But first, let me speak with Governor Badaru Abubakar. You are a politician, so how do you respond to critics who say, oh, well, this is all political, it's a political gimmick, elections are around the corner, and this is one thing to, to whitewash everything and play politics. How do you respond to that?
Well, at least the pyramid is real. They can go to see it, and I even see some pictures of people posting an old picture taken somewhere where there is they do something with wood and put all this and claiming that those are the pyramids. Nigerians can be innovative in mischief, but the pyramids are real and the rice is real. The 200 rice mills are there from 6. You can see them, we can name them, we can give addresses where they are, and the prevalence of Nigerian rice in the market is there. You can see, you buy, you eat. It's not political. It's something that is real and tangible that people can see. So there is no politics about this. This has been going on for so many years. And if you go to the villages and towns where they grow rice, all across the country, you will see farmers being engaged. You will see the output. You will see the level of businesses that are happening there. There are markets that we go in Jigawa State where they load 10 trucks of paddy every day during the peak of the season. And this is real. People see them. So it's not political. And you see some of these young men that goes to Lagos, Abuja here, to find menial job has all gone back. In Jigawa, in Kebbi, and in all those agrarian states, engaging in farming because it's profitable now. And this is happening. This is real. It's not political. And the statistics I just read out on the production is there for people to confirm and to assist, and we can show them how. And this is really very real. The massive involvement, the massive development of rice mills going on all over the country is evident. In Jigawa we had only one, very small one. Now we have 6 big integrated rice mills with thousands of small mills. So this is happening everywhere.
Now, again, this is real for you, and I suppose on the other side you might just say, well, what's wrong with politics if it's producing the results anyway?
That's what I mean. That is true, but you see, in diversifying our economy,
right,
we have to look inward, and we have to do what we have competitive advantage in producing. So Nigerian economy critically needs to be diversified. And I think in so many years, we have seen in 2021 where the income generated locally is higher than that that was generated via the sales of crude oil. I think just this last year, 2021, for so many years together. So this kind of changes, as we grow our domestic economy, as we see where we have competitive advantage and capitalize in it and do well, we'll continue to diversify our economy and we'll continue to do well.
Speaking of diversification, and that brings us to the other aspect of wealth creation and job creation, attacking unemployment. Give us what's your experience in, for instance, using this crop? Let's
well, in the rice value chain.
Yes.
Like I've said, we have seen production from 92,000 tons to 611 last season, and just today I got the figures for 2020-2021 that Jigawa State produced 1 million and I think around 14 or 17,000. You can see the difference. And for 1 hectare of land to be cultivated, you need land preparation, actors. You need planting, actors. You need herbicide, fungicide, insecticide. You need to water the plant. All this along the value chain. Then harvesting, threshing, bagging, transporting, paddy dealer, rice miller, rice dealer, rice retailer before it goes to the door. Along this value chain, you see thousands and thousands of jobs being created. I give you macro example of Jigawa State. We do an average about 30,000 hectares to 2015-2016 at the dry season. But because of the increased production and the competitiveness, today at the dry season, we do more than 100,000 hectares. See the massive growth. From 30 hectares, additional 70 or more thousand hectares of irrigatable land, creating twice production or even 3 times production in a year in some areas. So this is serious. So I think this happened in almost all the states. With even Kebbi doing more. I just saw from the documentary, they are producing almost 4 million tons. And I'm sure this has multiplied over the year, and you can see the amount of jobs that this will be created along the value chain. And that is massive. And if I will give you also a macro example in my state, my GDP 2015 in Jigawa State is around 950 billion. As of the last count, I think it was in 2019 or so, they did the figures, is 1.6 trillion. And I'm sure if it is done today, it will close to 2 trillion. So almost double. And that is because of the production, the job creation that multiplied the GDP, meaning people are being engaged and people are making money, and there is production.
All right. Well, at this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, there'll be more about the rice revolution, checking on employment, creating jobs, creating wealth, and some other questions about how the value chain is being applied to just about every aspect of production, agricultural production. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough,
and I can be tender.
I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am beloved. Who are you?
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer long second Niger bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, this segment is where you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. The numbers would be on your screen. We encourage you to take advantage of them. Call in and air your views on the subject matter, the rice revolution. That's what we're talking about. But as we encourage you to be part of this discussion, let's quickly remind you that if you do call in and your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we also like to encourage you to go straight to the point. If you do get through, go straight to the point. Ask your question or make a comment and put it in proper context. And let us just encourage you to forget about all those greetings. Just hello would be good enough. Don't dwell too much on greetings. You would not have enough time. And also recall that sometimes the lines can be erratic. So we encourage you to call in, go straight to the point, raise your question or issues, and I'm sure that our guests today will address them as they come in. It's the rice revolution. So let's go to the farmers this time and say, yes, all this has been happening. You've been able to increase production, but what aspect of it has been affected by, one, the pandemic, and two, the insecurity in some parts of the country? How have you been able to deal with that? Because it's suggested that if you could do this, then you probably would do twice or three times more. Okay, so if we are set to take the calls just before Muhammad Ali Baba comes in, let's take Daniel, who's calling in from Eula. Hello, Daniel, go ahead. Is Daniel still on the line? Daniel, you're not speaking. Okay. I'm sorry, we can't hear Daniel in the studio, and it's extremely important because it's probably raising an issue which might require some response by our guests here. So if we can fix that and probably get Daniel to call back, and then we'll take it from there. Okay? Right, so yes, just before we try to take the call from Daniel, we had lined up a question for the rice farmers themselves. So, Muhammad Ali Baba, let's hear you.
Rightly observed, COVID-19 and insecurity have actually impacted on the activities of our members, because in some places they couldn't access their farms. Some had even planted, they couldn't go back to harvest, and some couldn't tend to the crops, and then they lost them. But you see, because first and foremost, that is the means of livelihood for a lot of our farmers, even including new entrants. They have to find ways of overcoming this. So some of them are actually moving to the safer areas to continue to do their business, and those that can manage, since some of this insecurity usually ebbs, over time, are able to revert to their farms and continue with their activities. But a lot of them, like I said, are moving to safer areas because we have, just like it's been reported, huge expanse of land that is available for cultivation. So, and Nigeria is still welcoming wherever it is. Some are even leaving, their states into other states to go cultivate available lands, and they are happily and warmly welcome. And in fact, some of these movements actually have been occasion transfer of knowledge and technology, because there are places where these migrant farmers come, and once they start, the natives there, join them, and then they are able to learn some of these skills, particularly dry season farming. It's mostly in the far north that it's happened. So when they move towards the north central, they are able to impart this, and they are able to motivate their hosts into joining the bandwagon. And so as much as possible, and luckily some of this insecurity is ebbing. And then, of course, luckily for us too, the COVID-19, much as there was a total global lockdown, within Nigeria and Africa, the impact, particularly in the rural areas, has not been that, debilitating.
Little mercies to be thankful for. Let's try to work the phones again, and we have a Kanu from Cross River calling in. Kanu, if you're there, go ahead.
Good evening, Chief. Hello? Good evening, sir.
Yes, Kanu, can you go ahead?
Okay, sir. I am so much looking for a good revelation of that rights arrangement. It's very good for the country. And I thank the governor of the Jigawa State for such a creativity to build the regulations of the country. So I thank him so much. Sir, please, how do we here in Cross River State benefit from this wonderful development? Because it will be so much more vulnerable, and people who do not have this opportunity would like to come and partner with you willingly from Cross River. How do a person like me get that access so that people can benefit that?
Right, Kanu, that's it? Okay. I think to a large extent you were able to get through some thoughts. So, right, okay. So,
well, I think Ripan's supposed to answer this, yes. But what I will advise Kalu is that the Ripan will send in a number of their possibly the chairman of Ripan Cross River, because they have farmers association, rice farmers association all over the country, and that association will discuss with him and see the possibility of him joining the project. But maybe Ripan will want to add.
Right. Let's hear from you, Mohammed Ali Baba.
As a national association has structures across the geopolitical zones. We have 6 vice presidents. In fact, the vice president for South is actually from Cross River State. Is Emmanuel Ano. I don't know if I can read his phone number. And incidentally, too, he's also part of the governor's agricultural revolution team in that state. So, I mean, he's in good hands. If like I said, I have his phone number if he can at least take it down. His phone number is 080-6937-3331. Mr. Emmanuel Ano is the vice president for South. And then, of course, we have a state chairman there in Cross River, too. And so a lot of the local governments, virtually every local government will have a structure. We have it across the state, and then even in some places, especially the major rice growing areas, we have them across the wards and then clusters. But at least you can reach out to this, like Mr. Emmanuel, like I said.
Repeat that phone number so that Kanu can get it right, and maybe others who are around Kanu there. Just recall those numbers.
I know 080 6937 3331.
Thank you so much. 0806 937 333. That's 3331. So, next call is coming from Lagos, and this one, Clement is calling in. Hello, Clement.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I saw the rice pyramid on the internet. I want to know, when are we going to be getting those rice? When are the public going to be getting those rice? And at what price is that going to be?
Fantastic.
And how many states do we have those pyramids in the north?
Right. Thank you. Fantastic question. Mohammed Ali Baba, it's your baby now.
And, hopefully from tomorrow, millers will start evacuating those rice. It took us 2 to 3 months to actually assemble that pyramid, and it's likely to take that long to evacuate them. So very soon they will be in the mills, and then from the mills, of course, into the market. And then, like I said, virtually all states of the Federation will have members of this association across the country, even in Lagos there. Incidentally, our deputy national president, God bless his soul, we lost him shortly before this pyramid. Is actually from Lagos, and then we have the ESCOs in Lagos and some of the local governments there. And so he is also, just like Mr. Kanu, free to reach out and join the association.
Okay, we get that bit, but refund, just quickly, the rice goes to the millers. Now, for many people who would still want to ask this, just break it down. What is the rice going to do with the millers? What will the millers do? And how long will it take the millers to do what they do? And then it gets to the market. I think that's what many would want to ask.
It gets to the millers, they will process it as they used to. A lot of these millers are actually currently in operation. And then so this only goes to add to their stock. But even those that are out of stock will get this, and quickly, because they are in private business, and once they are out of production, of course, they are not making money. So immediately the paddy lands in their mills, they head straight into the machines, and then they'll process. Of course, a lot of them have network of, distributors, wholesalers, and retailers, and then they offload the processed processed rice into the stores and then into the market.
Yeah, but if I will add, I think Lagos State government is building, I think it's commissioned or almost ready for commissioning, a very, very big rice mill. And I think they will uptake, if they are ready, uptake some of the paddy for process in Lagos. And I remember last year we launched similar pyramids, not this big, but in Ekiti State. And there are millers also milling. So even around the southwest, there are a lot of paddy producers, rice producers, and there are some mills around there also for milling. So Lagos is coming up with a very big rice mill, which I believe will help in bringing prices down in Lagos.
All right. Back to the phones, we have Yusuf from Sokoto. Hello, Yusuf.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Please, my regards to all the visitors. Please, how could this pyramid be of benefit to us here in Sokoto?
Okay.
That's my question.
Right. Refund, straight to you. Will the pyramids be of benefit to people in Sokoto?
associations. They have about 3 of them. We have the Rice Processors Association, we have the Rice Millers Association for medium scale, and then we have ASMORE for the small scale millers. Most of them have members across the country. So those members have already indicated interest, and they are likely to be part of those that will benefit from these pyramids that will soon be evacuated by the millers across the country.
So Sokoto is in line as well. I mean, from all parts of the country.
Every part of the country where we have millers that have indicated interest, they will get access to the party.
Also, I believe there are 2 rice mills being developed there in Sokoto, and Sokoto is producing also Sokoto Zamfara a lot of paddy. And I believe the next pyramid will be around Zamfara or Sokoto. But what we have here in Abuja is the demonstration of what is happening around the country.
Right.
So the benefit to Sokoto is to ginger him, the caller, also to engage in this value chain if he's not already engaged in other activities that are profitable. And I believe as they see what is happening, people will be aware, people will key into the program, production will increase, processing will increase in Sokoto, and the value chain development will increase, and then jobs and wealth will be created in Sokoto State also.
All right. So easily this is a demonstration here in Abuja, and this can be replicated in Sokoto, in Gombe, in Lagos, in Lokoja, in Minna, and even in other parts of the country, including all others that we have not mentioned here. Next, let's go on to Jude, who's calling in from Enugu. Hello, Jude. Okay, so we lost that call from Jude, but keep the calls coming through, and your questions and your comments. If I might just quickly go back to Dr. Olashupo of the Central Bank. Now, we've talked about this intervention basically in agriculture, but the Central Bank does have other interventions in other aspects of the Nigerian economy. Perhaps you want to mention a few of them. You started talking about them earlier. So we can get this, that it's not just agriculture that the CBN is interested in. Dr. Olashupo.
Cyril, like I mentioned earlier, the bank intervention cuts across almost every endeavor around the real sector. The real sector is actually the critical sector of the economy, where we feel that it is extremely job elastic. It can also create value. So the bank has intervened in the manufacturing sector. We have interventions in the power and aviation. We have interventions around the MSMEs. During COVID, we had a lot of COVID support for households, for entrepreneurs, and for SMEs. We have the one we also call the Targeted Credit Facility, which came up sometimes the first wave of COVID. We also have the AXMIS, Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme. We have a plethora of interventions that speaks to almost every area of the real sector. And for the bank, like I mentioned earlier, the intervention is like a stopgap. It's to stimulate the economy and also to create an enabling environment where the private sector, the commercial banks, will have the confidence to bring in their own shareholders' funds and leverage on their balance sheet to support these real sectors of the economy.
Agu from Port Harcourt, you're on. Hello.
Good evening, Sri. Good evening.
Good evening.
My people at the studio. I remain Agu here in Chubu from Port Harcourt. Rice is a stable food, and we have seen the pyramid, yet the price is so high here in Port Harcourt. I want to ask, what's the difference between the pyramid and hoarding? As price is going higher and the common people are dying of hunger, what's the difference between pyramid and hoarding? Again, there used to be marketing boards in those days that take care of this produce. These marketing boards control the quality and they control price even. And since we are moving well in those days, why are they there no marketing boss again? Why can this setup be neglected? Because we need quality, so that if we produce here, our goods we sold in overseas will be exported and we make more money. And we consume good food here, good quality, comparable with any quality in the world. Why are the market boss not there? Still, on a personal note, I've been committing with you since the sensation of this Tuesday live. I am still looking very fresh. What is the magic? Thank you.
Okay. Well, the aspect about whether the pyramids do not constitute hoarding, we'll refer it to a refund right away. The other aspect of your question, we'll talk about that at some other point in time. Mohammed Ali Baba, you're on.
Of course, they don't constitute hoarding. Under the Anchor Borrower program, farmers that benefit from it, they don't repay in cash. They repay with paddy. And once they repay, what's next is for refund to convert it to cash and then ultimately credit the account so that the loans that they have taken will be repaid. Now, since they come from different parts of the country, we needed to at times aggregate this paddy, and that is what refund does. But most importantly, too, is to make the statement that this is a successful program. Just like the HE has said, it's a demonstration of how far this Anchor Borrower program has taken us. Of course, if we can recall, except for the smuggled rice, since 2015, hardly do you have, legitimate imports. Fewer and fewer, just like the CBN governor in his speech said, of imported rice is coming into the country. So by and large, farmers in Nigeria have been the one feeding the country all these 7 years. So part of it, but of course we still have doubting Thomases. But most importantly, we also need to use it to encourage others to come into the fold, because money is being made. Definitely, because a lot of the investment that have come in, they are mostly private sector investments. It's the private sector that supplies the seeds, all the inputs. It's the private sector that is building the mills and employing people.
Right. If I get the drift of where this is all going, I think what you need to clarify when they say this might also be hoarding, the question here in very simple terms, let me just ask this and say, the rice we are seeing in those pyramids, is that rice ready to eat? In other words, do you just pick that and put it in your pot and cook it and eat? That's what many people would like to know. Or this rice has to go to be processed, first of all. Can you clarify that?
To be processed. Unlike some other grains, this one has to undergo processing in the mills. So once they leave here, and like I said, from tomorrow they will start leaving because some trucks have already arrived, they will go straight into the various mills across the country, and then they will be processed and then onto the market.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Ahmadu from Kano, you're on. Hello, Ahmadu.
Yes. Is that Cyril Stoba?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes. Is that Cyril Stoba?
Yes, Ahmadu, it's Tuesday Live. Go ahead.
Yeah, Cyril Stoba, good evening.
Good evening.
Because, yes, I have only one. Yes, I want to ask you one question, Cyril Stoba, because I've started listening to you since Babangida regime when you have Ruth Benemesia up here and co. My question here now, pyramid is a welcome development. But now, parading the pyramid rice in Nigeria, are we parading it for the world to see while we are still having a costly price of rice, or we are in short, what is the purpose of parading the pyramid rice? What does that one supposed to, what is it telling on us? Is it telling us that the price is coming down, or in short, thank you very much. This is the simple question I want to ask.
Right, thank you very much, and I'm sure our guest would answer that straightforward. Mohammed Ali Baba, once again.
The pyramid is telling us that we have successfully overcome our rice deficiency, that we no longer depend on the Far East and other economies to feed ourselves with rice. And other crops are coming up, and we are just showing that this, yes, we can. And then Mr. Ahmadu is also invited. Luckily, Kano is one of the leading states that produce this rice, and they have a lot of river basin, authorities there. He can join the bandwagon so that he will also contribute to the erection of the next set of pyramids.
Well, if I must add, first of all, like I've said earlier, what you have seen here in Abuja is just a demonstration of what is happening all across the country. For instance, the paddy produced in Jigawa State goes directly to the mills and is much more than what we have seen here today. And Rifan sells to processors, and they have been selling this to processors from beginning of the harvest season till now. But this is a symbolic to show that this is happening, to ginger people to go back to farm, and to assure Nigerians that with determination and dedication, things are possible. And join this team and make us food sufficient in this country. And I think this is the message. And a lot, much more than this, really. Even in Jigawa, I believe we produce 10 times this season we are talking about. And this goes directly to different mills in Jigawa, in Kano, that has been distributed. And I think this is about the 10th time Rifan is distributing paddy to the mills in this season. So it's a continuous thing, but what you have seen today, Mala Ahmadu, is just demonstration of what is happening in the country, and we seek for your prayers, and we also hope people will see and join in this development, or at least pray for the success of this project.
Okay. It's back to the phone lines now. Musbao calling in from Lagos. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Good evening. Go right ahead.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, Musbao, go ahead.
Yes, about this about the rice pyramid price. Where person can get it?
Could you repeat your question, please?
You said?
Yes, Musbao, could you repeat the question?
From yes, I'm listening. Yes, I saw some questions from this pyramid rice. Is it from the government or what?
Right. Okay. Good question. Rifan will answer. Is the rice from the government or from where?
Nigerian farmers. It's not from government.
Straightforward answer. You got that. Nigerian farmers and not the government. Okay. All right. Musbao, you good with that? Okay, fine. Fantastic. Okay, well, expectedly, the questions have all been coming in for Rifan because, of course, these are the farmers who have produced the rice that we've seen in those pyramids. And so it's been up to them to explain what has been happening. But beyond what we have seen in the pyramids and all the efforts to intervene and increase production, another aspect which we need to talk about is the taste. Somewhere along the line, Dr. Olashupo talked about behavioral patterns and attitudes. For some time, some people developed a taste for foreign products, including rice, not the least rice. And even as the rice revolution is going on, there are still Nigerians who are clamoring that they'd rather have the foreign rice coming to this country, Dr. Badaru?
Well, but I'm sure there are some brands of local rice that if we put on the table today, it makes no difference with the foreign rice. We are slowly beginning to produce rice that is long and parboil it deeper so it will get that yellow color. And it's coming rapidly from the mills. A lot of the really high-tech mills produce rice that if they bring it out in your hands, you will not differentiate between the foreign and the local. But even ours, the local rice, tastes much better. Like they have said from the program you've seen in Delta, there is continuous improvement coming up. There is improvement over the years. And believe me now, the quality is being perfected, and our rice, some brands of our rice, will exactly compete with the foreign rice without no much difference.
Okay. Let's hear from Joseph, who's calling in from Enugu. Hello, Joseph.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Joseph, turn down the volume of your TV so we can hear you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead.
So, sir, I want to know I want to know that, sir, if the rice come out, if this rice plan come out, will it also be cheaper or higher? Because we have a problem in this country. Some of the time they give us palliative, government are keeping it down. So farmers is doing the further. I didn't know if the little rice plan come out now. So the big man that in this country will participate, whereas the poor masses will not able to afford to buy the rice. That's the wrong question, sir.
Okay, thank you. The issue is about pricing once again, and we call on Mohammed Ali Baba of the Refund to respond to that. It's a question of pricing.
Well, HE has repeatedly highlighted how these prices will eventually come down. And but of particular emphasis is the fact that, just as he has highlighted, the prices have remained stable. And from stability, it's expected to come down, like I said, once the cost of production goes down and then productivity increases. Since new hybrid seeds are coming into the market, and then, of course, local sourcing of other inputs, with increased productivity and lower cost, ultimately the cost will come down. And of course, competition, because more and more people are coming into even the processing aspect of it. There will always be competition, and competition often drives down prices. So it's a gradual process. From this stability, it's expected that in a few months and years down the line, prices will start coming down.
Back. All right. I think we're just going to take another call, and that call unfortunately didn't quite come through. Let me go to Dr. Olashupo. Now, what's your response to feelings that we just talked about attitudes and tastes and those clamoring to, open the gates so we can have all the foreign rice, and tell us the impact of that to the economy.
I mean, beyond the capital flights, it's heavily demanding on our forex. And like we have said severally, for every Nigerian that feels they still have that taste, that penchant to consume foreign rice, we can give you up to 10 local brands that will match whatever foreign rice you think you want to eat. As of today in the market, I can also tell you that about 80% of the bagged foreign rice you see in the market are actually milled in Nigerian rice that are bagged. We can tell you markets where you can actually get this, and we've been collaborating with the law enforcement agencies to ensure that we checkmate the activities of these commodity orders, middlemen, and also economic saboteurs.
Right, so back to the phones. We have Aliu calling in from Kwantagura. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Go ahead and turn down the volume of your TV.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Sure, go ahead.
I've done so. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
So, let me commend the central bank for their efforts. My question is, what is the central bank doing regarding revising the price control for commodity exchange? Since they have mopped up this price, there should be a mechanism where the commodity exchange can come in and set the price of this party before to the miller, so that at the end the other Nigerians can get this price at the discounted rate.
All right, thank you. So, the last caller was asking for the CBN's input on this.
Sorrel, I mean, if you listen to the governor's speech at the unveiling of the pyramid, he actually spent some 2-3 minutes talking about the role of the Nigerian Commodity Exchange. The exchange has been resuscitated, and you'll see a lot of value creation from the activities of the exchange going forward. The exchange will be able to bring in storage facilities that will, going forward, be able to keep this paddy and other grains for us. The exchange will be able to bring value around storage, standardization, and also price discovery. So going forward, there will be a perfect link between the millers and the commodity exchange. So, I mean, maybe in another 1 year or two, we might not be able to bring in a lot of pyramids because the commodities will be moving straight from the farms to the storage facilities of the commodity exchange and for onward delivery to the mills. There, like I told you, the ABP approach is a value chain consideration. And the Nigerian Commodity Exchange will be integrated into the existing value chain, and gradually you start seeing those value additions as time comes by.
Let me stay with you a while longer and ask you to respond to this. You do know, of course, that there are many skeptics in society, and for a while, nothing is seen as working smoothly. There's always this issue about there might be something happening, some underhand things happening behind the scenes. And so, for the skeptics who say, yes, the CBN has all this intervention, but it is alleged that somewhere along the line, some bureaucrats, even within the CBN, and non-farmers are hijacking the bulk of this. How do you respond to that?
Cyril, I mean, there are a lot of perceptions around this, and that's why in my earlier statements, I mentioned collaboration with key stakeholders, and I was frontal in naming the stakeholders. For us, what we do is to try to build economies of scale around production. It will be almost impossible for us to start identifying individual farmers in their scattered smallholder farms and say we want to deliver credit to them and we'll monitor this credit. To build scale, you have to partner and you seek collaboration. And that's what we are doing with the associations. There's also this general belief. Farming for the smallholder farmer is a means of livelihood. With or without the intervention, the smallholder farmer will farm. So the best we can do for the smallholder farmer is to facilitate support. And that's why we're encouraging them to come through the association, where there will be that scale, there will be visibility, and there will be you'll be able to visualize what is happening on the farm. If I take a camera to an half hectare of land, by the time I'm showing you, you ask me, are you sure it's rice or not? But if you're showing a 10,000 hectares of land or a 1,000 hectares of land, you'll be able to see the strength. And it is from this strength that we're being able to now talk about food security. Yes, there will still be, those negative perceptions. There will be doubts. However, they should also sample those that have been part of this success story. How difficult has been their entry into the program? I mean, Refan, the smallholder farmer prior to 2015 might not be able to approach any bank seeking for loan. But with the partnership with the association, the smallholder farmer, through the association, is coming to the Central Bank of Nigeria to discuss funding opportunities. For us, those are the positives that's been driving us, and we feel we can still do this to ensure that we maximize the potential of the Nigerian economy.
Okay, and it's a similar question we'll put to Governor Badaru Abubakar to deal with grants to farmers in certain states where the thinking is some governors are not too quick with counterpart fundings for projects, and sometimes the farmers who are supposed to benefit from things like this lose out.
Well, in the case of Anko Borough program done by Central Bank, is purely between the Commodity Association and the Central Bank. What the state do is to facilitate the whole process, to support the whole process. We support them with extension services, we support them with extra land where there is needed, and we support them with a link between the farmers, the lead farmers locally, the traditional institution that guarantee the farmers for repayment of loan, and we do that as state. We are not directly involved with that. But individual states, say for Kebbi, for Jigawa, Cross River, I believe, and many other states also do their own support. For instance, in Jigawa State, we support our farmers. Also cluster them together, do the same thing. Those that do not benefit from the Anko borrower, because the farming family are so large, the Anko borrower cannot be able to cover all. But those that did not benefit from that project comes into our project, and we support them with what we call in Jigawa cluster program. We did exactly what the CBN does. Provide them with seeds, capital, and all have you, and after harvest they repay. And it's really managed very well at the state level. And that has helped us expand our network of producers, and new people that wants to jump into farming are even given land or loan by the state and support them full time, more especially the youth, to grow different products, and this has been very, very helpful. And I think as you have seen at that at the launch of the pyramids, the governors are competing on who produced what and who produced the biggest, and we are all committed. We understand for us to run out of poverty, we have to engage people in what they do in their businesses. We have to support their businesses. And in places like Jigawa, agriculture is the main businesses for people. So it's natural for us to support our people in agriculture so they can grow. And that was why we have the slogan, treat farming as business in Jigawa State instead of normal farming for sustenance.
All right, so back to the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria. There's also need for improvements in so many ways, varieties, and as you continue to seek better ways of increased production, what would be the kind of relationship you have with researchers, research institutes? Can we talk about that?
They said the largest room on that is the room for improvement, and that is the role of research. You know, generally we always expect improved technology, improved ways of doing things. So we relate with the researchers. In fact, as part of this launch, it's just that time didn't permit. We were supposed to do a summit on rice, and we're still planning that. And that is where we'll bring in most of these experts and stakeholders to further brainstorm and review our challenges and profile solutions. And part of the call, of course, we also want to engage with state governments, local governments, and other principal stakeholders to also collaborate and appreciate the value in supporting agriculture. Because while some states that have been mentioned are actually doing well, wonderfully, most states, if they could emulate these other states, will cover more grounds. So we are engaging, and like I said, we are collaborating, particularly the research institutes like NCRI, and then we have the technology like the MCAN that is in Ilorin, where the Scientific Equipment Center in Mina. All of them were trying to, as much as possible, to collaborate and see why, because all this issue, particularly about costs and improved efficiencies, will be ameliorated if a lot of our requirements are sourced locally. So, and then we can achieve that mostly if we engage and support and collaborate with the research institutes as well as other critical stakeholders. But we need the subnational governments, particularly, states, to also key into it and provide all the support. And additionally, too, also will require synergy and effective collaboration with relevant MDAs that engage in agriculture, like the state ministries of agriculture, the state agricultural development, projects, and then the federal ministry of agriculture. And of course, investment, all relevant ones, because there's strength in unity. Synergy and collaboration produce results. And that is what I think going forward we need to emphasize. And then, of course, advocacy. Advocacy is key for people to appreciate. The HE has raised another key success factor that has led to the improvement we're having, and that's the involvement of the traditional rulers at every level, from the top-rated emirs to district heads, village heads, and even meunguas, the ward heads. We're involving them because they know these people, they stay with them, and the fact that people look up to them and hold them in awe, they're also. And we are able to prevail upon them to ensure that they repay this facility when they take them. So we actually engage in effective collaboration with these relevant, stakeholders. And going forward, we'll only improve on that.
We've heard that there's still much, and you have admitted that much, to do with milling, packaging. Now we're beginning to get, we're beginning to grow the rice that we eat and eat the rice that we grow. And the next point of call would be, of course, exporting. Just how soon do you see that happening? And I know that there's, some undocumented trade of rice, Nigerian rice, in neighboring states. But I'm looking at what we have had to go through, bringing in rice from certain dedicated countries. I do not want to mention them now because we're growing our own rice. How soon are you looking at a situation where you would now be sending your rice and it would be in high demand all over the world, including those countries where we used to import from?
One advantage Nigerian rice has is well, in fact, that's the brand name is Farm Fresh. A lot of the ones that we actually bring in are mostly old stocks that have to be preserved with chemicals and things like that. And that's why I mentioned the role of advocacy and sensitization, because even those that feel eating foreign rice is some fad, some hype, don't actually realize that the local varieties are actually healthier. They are more nutritional because they are fresh from the farm. So part of our challenge for exports is the fact that for now, we're actually engaged in perhaps, improve, subsistence. Because virtually what we produce here, we're able to process that and eat. So going forward, with improved production, more lands coming in and more farmers, it's expected that by the time we're able to saturate the local markets, of course, exports. We know the surrounding countries, particularly in West Africa, they look up to Nigeria for most of their supplies. Of course, undocumented exports are ongoing in most of these agricultural products. But ultimately, I think we'll go ahead to document. We take advantage of the African free trade, the ECOWAS, and then recently, one of the major challenges that has hampered these exports is the financial settlement platform, which one of which has just been launched now, because some of those that attempted to export using the formal system have been having issues repatriating because of the limited intra-African, trade infrastructure that we're facing. But gradually we're getting there. So in no distant future, we'll actually saturate the immediate markets and even beyond that.
Dr. Olashupo, you might want to give us your closing thoughts on what we have talked about so far, and peep into the future, the prospects of Nigeria now being a major exporter of rice instead of an importer of the commodity.
Thank you, Cyril. I mean, with the hindsight of where we are coming from, the potential is enormous. A major constraint again that's still limiting our production is about 70% of our production is still rain-fed agriculture. Like H.E. said, we have a lot of Fadama areas where we should be able to do production 3 times in a year. And those are the areas we need to optimize. We are talking about improved varieties. 2015 average productivity per hectare was about 2 metric tons. As at now, we are doing between 5 to 6. At this dry season, we are actually going to experiment a variety that has potential of about 9 to 10. So if we're able to bring all this together, then in another 2 or 3 years, we should be able to meet local self-sufficiency and be a net exporter of rice.
Well, thank you so much, Governor Badaru. You get to close this discussion for us.
Well, first of all, on research, I think a lot is going on in rice production. Like you have said, CBN is working also with some research institution to bring in new varieties, and most of our states are also doing the same. And there is also a program for Rice Africa that is really working very, very hard and to develop different varieties that will give quality rice and also better yield. And that has been going on, and that will support the productivity. And again, I think we will see exports soon, because I was amazed this last rainy season, at the end of the rainy seasons. There are mills in Kano, 3 or 4 of them, that uploads minimum of 100 trucks a day for months together during that harvest. And that is 3,000 tons of paddy a day. Those mills have the capacity of consuming 15 trucks a day and producing about 10, 11 trucks of milled rice a day. And this is happening all over the country. The Dangote mills are scattered all over, and some are 16 tons per hour, some are 32 tons per hour. And we haven't seen the scarcity of paddy this year up to this moment. All the mills are running and they have paddy in stock. And I believe very soon, probably if we double our output, by next year we'll start seeing drop in price of rice and also possible export of rice to neighboring countries.
And it is on that note we must leave this conversation. As I always say, one program can take care of all aspects of any issue. So we'll have to leave it there for this time and say big thank you to our guests. Your Excellency, we thank you for coming. Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, Governor of Jigawa State and Chairman, Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. It's been interesting.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much, listeners.
Right. And Dr. Musa Olashupo, Head Recovery and Support Services Division of the Central Bank of Nigeria, thank you for being with us and sharing your thoughts.
Sorry, thank you, Nigerians.
And for Muhammad Ali Baba, essay to the President of Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, RIFAN, well, it's all about you. Thank you for being part of this and taking time to explain all aspects of those pyramids that we're all celebrating and the true story behind the rice revolution. Thank you for being part of NTA Tuesday Live.
Much. Thank you, Nigerians.
And also thank you to all those who were part of this, those who called in and were part of this program. We thank you for being part of it. Next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stover, and I say continue to stay safe.